Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, was beloved before she died in 2002, but she kept some surprisingly dark secrets. Oh, she'd always been popular, especially with men. When she said yes to her husband, the future King George VI, men in England literally mourned her singledom. As one diarist put it, all the clubs are in gloom. This popularity continued, for a while. In World War II, she gained a reputation as quite the brassy lady, limiting even Eleanor Roosevelt's bathwater to save resources. She could also knock back a drink or nine. The Queen's day included an aperitif at noon, red wine for lunch, a port and a martini for supper, and 2 glasses of champagne for dinner. But all this boldness had a very dark side. In 1936, Elizabeth's brother-in-law, King Edward VIII, infamously abdicated the throne to marry his mistress Wallis Simpson. That's right, suddenly Elizabeth was the Queen Consort, a reality she hated, calling it an intolerable honor. And she let her rage show. She detested Wallis Simpson, calling her that woman and refusing to grant her any royal titles. Wallis, meanwhile, called Elizabeth Cookie, which was supposed to be an insult for her plump frame. Elizabeth never forgave Edward for abdicating, and that was made 10 times worse when King George VI died an early death. Blaming her husband's passing on the stresses of being king, she refused to let Edward and Wallis even attend the funeral. Yep, she banned her husband's brother from watching him be buried. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Elizabeth had very little sympathy, practically zero, for Princess Diana's problems with the monarchy, once saying, "I know she's very young, but she ought to know better." She also accused Diana of fouling up the British royal family. But it was near the end of her life that the Queen Mother's biggest scandal hit. 2 of Elizabeth's nieces, Catherine and Nerissa Bowes-Lyon, had been presumed dead for years. Until the press found out in 1987 that they'd been in a psychiatric ward the entire time. Then the plot thickened. As it turned out, the Queen's nieces weren't mentally ill, they were simply mentally handicapped. People immediately accused Elizabeth and the rest of her family of hiding them away in shame, then faking their own death certificates to cover their tracks. The family claimed that the death certificates were an error in filling out forms, and Elizabeth denied knowledge of the events entirely. Many people are still skeptical of these claims of ignorance.